Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Steve Krulevitz, Lightning, tennis legend, to CBSBaltimore.com. What's going on, man?
Great to be here. Thank you so much.
Steve Krulevitz.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Pleasure.
Give it the strength and honor.
All right,
Wait, you taught me this already.
Yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
Strength and honor.
Yeah.
There you go. Steve has a memoir out, Lightning Strikes. We just did a coffee with. Back in the day, Steve predated on the pro tennis circuit Pam Shriver. So just to, and he always wears these sunglasses. This is Steve Krulevitz.
Yeah, just keep them on.
Yeah, keep them on, because you take them off, I look over and go, who else sitting here?
It's very cool.
I have no idea. But, you know, Baltimore became a tennis hotbed, and on the air you told us that tennis coast to coast in the 60s, 70s, and I guess may have been around the world, was a country club sport. And all the tennis players came out of the clubs. You came out of the courts in Druid Hill Park. You defied the odds. When you think about it, could it even happen again?
Well, the truth of the matter is, Marty, is that my parents didn't want me to be a tennis player.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted me to be a golfer. You see, my folks were obsessed with golf.
Huh.
That's all they talked about, that's all they did, that's all they played, and then they were looking for a place to play
And you
golf.
rebelled. And you rebelled.
No, I didn't actually. They were looking for a place to play golf, and they found Chestnut Ridge Country Club. So they joined, because they had a nice golf course. And they were schlepping me out to the golf lessons when I was 5 years old. And I was taking golf lessons at 5. And here's what happened. One day the golf pro wasn't there. He was sick, and I was at the club. My dad came from work, and he said, let's go up and hit some tennis balls instead of, because the golf pro's not here for your lesson. I was 7. I'd already played 2 years of golf. And we started playing tennis. And my dad said, how do you like this? And I said, hey, this is kind of fun. And that's how it all started with tennis.
Really?
Dropped golf. I took up tennis at 7. Got me a great teacher, Maury Schwartzman, a friend of his from the University of Maryland, because my dad played on the team at Maryland.
And the next thing you know.
Next thing I know, I'm playing tennis every day.
Huh.
And you're on the world tour.
not that fast.
I know not that fast, but
Eventually.
I'm going ahead and morphing the story, which is the reason for the book.
You know what spurred me on when I was about 16 or 17? I was ranked #1 in the men's in Maryland at 15.
Right.
I was the #1 player for the men's at 15.
15.
At 15 years old.
Right.
And they asked Bill Reardon, who was Jimmy Connor's promoter. This is going back in the day for the folks. What do you think of Steve Krulevitz? He's a local kid. He says, oh, Steve is too small. He's too thin. I don't think he's going to make it with the big guys. And then I went out that day. My dad bought me a set of weights, and I lifted weights every night in my house. And I said to myself, I'm going to show Bill Reardon that I'm going to make it on the tour. And that little comment in the paper just
Motivated you.
But for a lot of athletes, that's the case. It's one little trigger. It's one little rejection. What was it that Michael Jordan says when he was rejected by the high school basketball coach? That was it. He said, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's in sports, but I think the greatest example of the rejection is Paul McCartney over in England. Couldn't make his choir team. Choir.
Is that so?
They kicked him out of choir.
Really? I didn't know that.
They said he couldn't sing.
Really?
And of course, I'm a big Beatle fan.
Next stop, let it be.
Yeah, hello.
What a deal. So the book's out. We want to talk just, Lightning Strikes, your memoir.
Love this photo, by the way.
Yeah, you were rocking a Jufro back then.
Well, that's
and I can say that.
Hey, that was short.
We're both members of the tribe. I can say that.
That was short compared to.
What year are we talking about here?
Compared to what?
This is probably like 77.
All right. So
maybe it was a little late for the fro by then, but that was I was trying to copy Sly and the Family Stone. My favorite groups back then.
What a deal. The tennis these days. We were talking on the air. We talked about how it started in country clubs. You kind of broke the mold, went out in Druid Park. You were playing pickup games. You were playing anybody you could play to move forward. But now it seems to me that this is it's become a game for everyone now. You got a pair of tennis shoes, you get a tennis racket, there are courts everywhere. Is there a resurgence happening in tennis right now?
I sure hope so. The statistics aren't really showing that the participation is moving up in the right direction. But yeah, I mean,
what was it you just told her? It's the 4th most
watched, followed. You said
tennis is the 4th most followed sport in the world. All the sports.
So that's people watching.
Soccer or football, they call in Europe. Soccer is #1, obviously. And then they have 2 and 3 were like a surprise for me. It was like cricket and field hockey and then tennis. But I'm talking about not going out and playing necessarily, but watching.
So why do people watch it and not play?
Because it's compelling. It's compelling to see. It's one against one. and they want to see what's the end result's going to be, how it's going to play out.
Do we need an American tennis star to get tennis back happening in America? I mean, I watch Federer, Djokovic, and I'm just enthralled.
I wish I had $1 for this question that you. I mean, it's a great question. I'm not knocking it. I mean, I wish I had $1 for this. But here's the way I look at it: Serena Williams, greatest women's player of all ever, American, greatest doubles team ever in the history of the game. The Bryan brothers, American. People say, yeah, but nobody cares about those players. Well, I do, but what about the men? They say. And that's where we need some help.
You know, because you brought, I was actually going to get into the Williams because I think they're in their own separate Phelpsian universe. I mean,
out of the last 19 Wimbledon finals, one of the Williams sisters has been involved in 12 of them. I think now 13 because Venus is in the finals tomorrow at 9 o'clock for the finals. So they've dominated over at the All England Club. But
they are in their own. I mean, they're legends and they're still playing. I mean, it's almost impossible to comprehend the greatness they possess.
Yeah, I mean that's another interesting story in tennis that these players like Venus Williams is 37, Roger Federer is 36. He's in the semifinals. Venus is in the finals. Nadal's in his 30s. You know, the guy that beat Nadal, Mueller, is 34. The players, used to be like 30.
That was it.
That was it. You're done in tennis. Now, the players are, I guess because of the nutrition, conditioning programs, that they're playing longer. And that's something that I think the USPTA, USTA should pick up on. That you can, I'm almost 70 years old. I can still go out and hit balls a couple times a week, get great exercise, and enjoy the game. So it's a game for a lifetime, but nobody not promoting it.
Interesting. Fascinating. You play tennis?
I told him not very well, but my husband really likes tennis.
What would make her a better tennis player, other than practice?
Yeah, tennis is a sport like no other sport in the world. It takes more practice than any other sport because it's hand-eye coordination. You don't play for a couple of days or weeks, and your level just drops. You have to continuously play it. The most that any professional player ever takes off without touching a racket is probably a week.
Come on.
That's it.
That's it. And then when they come back, the shot that takes the longest to get back to where it was before they took a little break, is the serve, because you have to coordinate a lot of parts.
I just don't understand how you can hit a serve that's coming at you at 120 miles an hour. How in God's name do you do that?
It's unbelievable.
You just put the racket in front of it and hope?
Sometimes you just, stick it out there. And the rackets today, the bigger sweet spots and the materials and the weight and the strings, sometimes you're pulled wide and you just kind of put your racket out there and you get juice on the ball. Whereas before, it was going into the bottom of the net. So it's more power on the returns, and that prevents a lot of guys from coming up and trying to come up behind their serve, because the return, you get more juice when you're out of position with the new rackets and the strings.
Wow.
It's the new technology. So there's a lot that goes into it. And the size of these players, Sam Querrey's 6'8", and Silic is 6'5", and these guys are all big guys, and Burditch is 6'4".
How big was Connors?
Connors was 5'11".
Unbelievable. Agassi, how big?
Agassi about 5'11" also.
How big were you?
5'10", 5'9".
That is incredible how these guys have grown. And women. How big is Pam? Well, Pam was tall lady.
Yeah, but if you go into the locker room today, you're just kind of just looking up. I did some interviews with John Isner down in D.C., and he's 6'9", and I was like, my neck was getting like,
heard afterward?
My neck was getting kind of tired because I was like, looking up at this guy.
Just keep that in mind when you're watching tennis. You've got guys the size bigger than Tom Brady, hitting a ball at 120 miles an hour.
130.
Excuse me. I didn't mean to say. I should have said Flacco, but Brady's slightly taller than Flacco.
Yeah, that's why Flacco would be a good size for a tennis player.
Unbelievable. Lightning Strikes, a memoir by Steve Krulevitz. There it is. What a deal. All right, Lightning. What else up? Any final great thought before we leave?
I'm wondering where the nickname's from.
Well, it's in the book, actually, how I got the nickname.
How'd you get it?
Well, I'll let you read the book.
You don't want to give it away?
I'm not going to give it away.
Okay.
Can you say it on TV? That's all I want to know.
No, it's a story.
Okay.
It's a memoir.
There you go. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by. CBSBaltimore.com.